No. Oh,
So Sherry was just wagging her finger at Linda because
Oh,
we're
she
recapping
did.
last week's weakness talk.
She did last night too. We had a really good chat.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope that there was a little less finger wagging and that, or maybe there was a lot of finger wagging.
She didn't wag her fingers, but she sure spoke truly.
Good. Well, that's what you need. All
Yeah.
right. We've got habit 4 this morning that we are on. And totally throwing my brain off because we're week 5, chapter 4. I'm like, this is driving me crazy. I bumped the post up in the leader lounge this morning, and I'm like, I have to check for a second. Hold on, just had a moment. No, we're good. We're fine.
It's me. I'm the problem.
You're not the problem. We would not have been able to do chapter 1 and the intro in 1 week. That would have been like,
no,
that would have been a little bit too much. So I knew when we flipped the page last week and talked about what the habit was going to be, that maybe we weren't going to have a whole lot of people attending this week, because I thought maybe people would just like bow out of the self-control conversation. But I'm very proud of you all for being here. And not to say that that's why we're missing people, but anyway, it's funny. Build your muscle of self-control. Why your talent isn't enough and how to develop the trait that will take you to the top. So our key lessons here in this chapter is discipline trumps talent when it comes to high levels of achievement. Stretch yourself to build success muscles, and sheer grit is your secret weapon. Sherry, do you want to start us out this morning?
Absolutely. And I think it totally goes back to the conversation that I had with Linda and Doris last night. And we're never going to be talented enough to get to the top unless we put in gear our grit. It's like they say right in the beginning here, when you were 4 years old, you had the potential of a winner, but you didn't have the talent or the ability or the skill. You had to keep practicing, keep doing. This marshmallow experiment, and I don't know how many of you have read the chapter or heard this before, but it's the whole concept of having kids wait for their reward. And if they wait, they get an increased reward. And how teaching patience, teaching the work before the reward, teaching kids how to do that is a significant predictor of success. And I mean, Tricia, as a teacher, I'm pretty sure could weigh in on this with some significant examples. And Tricia, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Sherry, I feel like I'm just waking up. I'll share them, but maybe not just yet.
Totally fine. I really caught you.
Well, I was going to say, while we're all waking up, because honest to Pete, guys, I wake up in the mornings on Saturday mornings, and the first thing that I do before my feet hit the floor is I grab the Metaburn off my side table, and I'm like, let's get this train rolling. And then that goes in. And then we get up. So I've used this example before, but I think it's just it applies so well here. I have twin daughters. I have one who seems to just easily pick up anything, and infuriatingly so, I'm sure, for her sister, that she just seems to be good at everything. The talent load for athleticism and those things is very high. However, because she has watched the talent of her sister, other twin has developed grit and perseverance, and she is the one who is outperforming her sister on the basketball court. And And the sister is good with the talent. She's like, and you know what? I think that that's another thing to consider. Some people are actually really okay to just sit and to just be there and be like, you know what? I've been blessed. I'm talented enough in this area to get by. I'm actually good, right? But it's very interesting to me because I kind of had predicted this when they were very small, because one of them showed incredible resilience, and I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to keep going, even though it irritated her. I'm sure that if she had been working at something for 10 minutes and her sister just decided to come along and try it, her sister was often far better at what she had been trying than she was. So it is very interesting to watch little kids and see the differences between that discipline, that self-discipline, and talent.
Okay, I'm ready to add a little bit.
I thought you might be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as a teacher, you see it all the time, right? The kids that you can work with are the kids that are actually willing to work, right? I can work with this because they're actually the kids. Like, I have a student who's quite weak right now. She's a worker, and so I'm having more meetings with her parents, but I'm like, she's gonna be okay. Parents are conscientious, she's conscientious, she's gonna do fine. Whereas I've got another student who sits in class and does nothing, right? And then it's like, how do we get that motor going? Because you need to produce work and practice in order to get better at things, right? So it's building that self-control muscle right there and then. He's not building his self-control, self-discipline muscle. But my weaker student is. So yeah, it's very interesting. And I even see it in my kids as well. My daughter, school was a little bit harder, but she's been so successful at university. Why? She learned to work, right? The discipline of, I know what it takes for me to be successful. So I'm doing that.
I was in that's brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do want to jump in right there, Tricia,
Yes.
with what it takes for me to be successful. And my kids, absolutely. I had kids who were not as good at school, and they didn't learn to work in school. All they wanted to do in school was get by. Just like you said, Janelle, just get by. Good enough. But they learned to work in another environment. In this case, they learned to work at home. And when they went away to school, they excelled because they'd learned the basic skills and they were able to translate them. So I find it's a fascinating thing that even though they're maybe happy to get by in one area, they're learning the skill in another area. And that's what's going to carry them through. I totally love that. I love when we get into this section about discipline and self-control. Are they one and the same? And I would have said yes.
Right?
I would have said yes. And yet here she talks about needing both, a distinction, self-control, the ability in the heat of the moment to resist temptation or embrace that will move you in the right direction. Discipline is consistency in addition to perseverance. And I think that's actually an incredible distinction when we think about Plexus and we think about self-control then being in the heat of the moment to not answer the phone if it's your work time, the self-control, or the discipline, the consistency of setting aside the time to do the reach outs or to do the reel a day or to do whatever piece of work you're committed to doing.
Yeah, and I think that it can be discipline, self-control as well when you're spending time with your family. I was thinking about this, and I think I need to do a piece on this, and it's hard because I know people who have chosen to walk away from social media because that's what they feel like they have to do. Like, I trust these people totally, but there are some other people that just are basically saying, I cannot control myself on social media to do the good that I could do on social media. And so I'm going to totally
Walk away.
leave it. Right. And so, especially when we have a job that really doesn't have any borders or time boundaries. Like, it's not like Trisha can't go and teach a class at 2 a.m. She could teach it. I don't think anybody's going to show up. None of her students are going to be there. And so we have this unique experience in that what we do, really, we can do it whenever we want to do it. Anytime you pick up the phone, you can get on with a messenger. You can do anything that you want to, regardless of time frame. So the self-discipline not only needs to be creating boundaries around what you need to do in a day for work, when you get on your phone to work, to do those things, but the discipline also needs to be able to put the phone aside when your family needs you, or like realizing there are no emergencies in Plexus. There's very, very few. There are only certain ones that I could think of, and those ones can be handled later. They're deferred emergencies. And so in doing that and having discipline around the usage of technology, especially when you're supposed to be, when you want to be with your family, will actually give you far more buy-in and support to your goals as you are working, instead of you're always on your phone. Guys, my kids have never said that to me. And I'm on my phone a lot, but they've never said that to me. So when we read the story about Marlene, she's talking, for those of you guys who haven't read the chapter, she had a goal of going from her corporate America job to owning her own business. And so I'll just read a little bit here. Her job required about 45 hours of her time each week. And through coaching, we identified approximately 10 hours a week available for her to grow her business part-time. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? I wonder if I could grow a successful online business with 10. Yes, you can grow a successful online business with 10 hours a week if you are disciplined. So the whole concept here was how, and I really appreciated her walking through this example. So if you guys haven't read it, this is page 105 and 106. And she talks about how she had a coaching, like a coaching call or session with this lady, Marlene, and they identified what she needed to do and how she could do these things. This is no different than us. And I love it. I love it. And so one of the things was Marlene had somebody else answer the home phone, and she was supposed to turn off her cell phone when she was doing her business for the 10 hours a week. And she was able to get her things done. So my question is, if you were to sit down with Valerie and have a coaching moment, wouldn't that be lovely? Have a coaching moment with her, and she walked you through these same things. What would it be? What do you feel like you would arrive at with her as far as what would make you the most successful? If you needed to spend 10 hours this week working your Plexus business, what would be the boundaries that you would need to set in your life so that those 10 hours were respected by not just outside people, but this person? What would be some things that you might have to set up? Maybe you already have them set up, and I'd love to hear those as well.
I think for me, sometimes what ends up happening is we come home, we have supper, we end up getting into a good conversation, or even, one of the kids says, let's just watch something for a little bit. So we watch something for a little bit, and then for me, you know, it's 8:39 when I'm starting to do some things. And that's probably the scenario I really don't like. Like, I love the fact that I've had the quality time with my family, but I didn't do the work first. And now my work is getting my most tired part of the day. So my ideal, and the reality is there are days I can't make this work, but I think even if I could look at my week and say, what are the days where I can make this work, where I can come home from work, do a section of my Plexus job, get supper started, and do it earlier in the evening. That's probably would be my ideal.
So Trisha, can I ask you, does that mean, like, in order to ensure success there, does that mean that you need to have some asks? Like, maybe you have a kid that starts supper, or like, are those pieces important to this thought process? Or is it like, I just need to have the crock pot, or I need to know exactly what needs to go here? Or like, how does that work in your family?
Well, definitely during basketball season, I'm the one home to get supper on. So that's pretty much on me. But certainly I think it's been on my mind to just kind of sit down and talk to the family about, okay, this is what I really want to accomplish. Here's how you can help.
And I have to say, like, I applaud you for balancing what you do. Like, I would love to just watch. Can I just come follow you around for a day and just watch over your shoulder? Because you are able to compartmentalize so well. And your transitions, actually, I think if we followed Trisha, I think that we would see strength in transitioning from role to role, because she's also, like she said, there's basketball and she wants to be at those games and she wants to be present and she wants to help unpack practices, like mentally and all of the things, right? So I really, hats off to you for that. I think you've probably developed that muscle of self-control a lot, and you've been able to really move through those different things in your day and get the important pieces out. Like, great job. I see
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you. I have to be a little more like Sherry in the sense that I'm exactly where I need to be right now. Because sometimes on those days where it just doesn't go the way I would like it to go, I'm very hard on myself, and I need to give myself a little more grace.
Well, and I will say, like, I'm not disagreeing with you. Grace is very important, and we need a good portion of it poured out onto ourselves. But I think high performers will be able to be objective in the, okay, what went awry today, instead of just completely beating yourself up. I don't see that in you. It's more, I perceive, maybe I'm wrong, I perceive it's more, okay, what went wrong today? What did not quite go the way that we'd planned, and what are the responsibilities, and where does Grace need to take, like, all of a sudden we had one of those emergencies or something that couldn't be put off till later or whatever, and it just happens, and there's the Grace. Or, here's where I'm responsible for not doing this. Or for me, it would probably be like, oh, I didn't go to bed, that, like, I spent too much time doing something else. I didn't go to bed for that extra hour, so I was extra tired, and so I wasn't as effective during this time, and I just totally spaced, or sleep on the couch or something. That would be me.
Yep. Totally. That's what she did a little bit further on, right? That conversation of her writing her book.
Yeah.
And just saying, okay, well, I had a great writing day and I had a terrible writing day. What was the difference between the two?
Yeah.
So, yeah, analyzing what works well and what doesn't work well.
And I
do know.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
I do know that I am more effective earlier on in the day. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a really great awareness to have. Do you guys know when you are the most effective, like what your hours are? I'd love to hear from everyone because I'm sure that everyone is so different. Where is your most, if you were going to do like your best work, what time of day would it be? And I know Sherry's. Sherry knows mine too. Just unmute and tell us. I want to know.
For me, it's probably in the morning, once Dennis heads out to the shop and the house is quiet, 9 o'clock or so till 11. When but I need to shut the TV off. And just concentrate on what I'm doing. I get sidetracked.
For me, it's around the 9 o'clock in the morning. And I have 3 days a week where I start work later. I start work after lunch. So those days are the days where I feel I'm the most productive.
I'm a morning girl as well, but I don't have Monday to Friday. So the earlier in the day after work is always better.
It always yeah, go ahead, Sharon. Are you going to unmute or are you adjusting? I see the hand coming, so I'm just like, oh, Sharon's gonna.
Whoa, okay. No, I'm thinking about this. So for me, I would have always said morning at first, but then I started thinking about it since my surgery. Not morning, dramatically changed. I would say afternoon for me. Afternoon, but I work my Plexus business primarily in the evening because my kids are little. So I was laughing at Trisha because I'm like, oh no, honey, I don't ever start until it's like after 8. I always try to fit little blocks in throughout the day so it's not the whole thing and it's not my whole IPA because that's tough. I've done it, it's tough, right? But yeah, generally afternoon, if I can get stuff in, because you should see, like with homeschooling, man, our mornings are pokey. It is regular for me to still be in my pajamas at 9 a.m. Just full disclosure. Yep.
That's homeschool life right there. That's amazing.
Yep.
Sherry, what's your most?
Later in the day, I am way more creative. Now, there's different times of day for different pieces of the kinds of things I do. And I think that's part of my scheduling or lack of scheduling, lack of self-control, all the things. Morning is not like when my kids were going to school, I was never dressed until after they were gone. Like morning was never my time. And I personally see creative time as being what provides me with the most satisfaction. And so I'm just trying to think of what day this week it was. Thursday. I'd been away for 3 days or whatever, not doing sort of all the creative things. And Thursday came home and after dinner had a 5-hour stretch of magic in the afternoon. Now, typically for me, 4 o'clock in the afternoon would have been done, laying on the couch time. That's the adrenal fatigue. And that was who I thought I was. But getting better resources for my body has shifted my ability to be creative at different times. And yeah, I can have a creative stretch from 9 till midnight and have trouble going to bed.
Please try again.
Sherry, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Does that creative ability, I mean, your scheduling is different than my scheduling, but I find for me, I have more creative juices when I have more time, like when I have a stretch of time. And so like for me, putting together a post in the morning just was starting to really stress me out.
Yeah.
And so I know it's more ideal to get the posting done in the morning, but I've actually shifted that to my after work because I find that I can be more intentional and even with the reels, more creative with that. So like creativity takes time. So it's about finding those moments where there's actually time to get those juices flowing.
I 100% agree, Trisha. And listening to Emily Gibson, she's like, do it when you're ready to do it. Like it's not the whole story in our heads, perhaps, about algorithms and best times to post. No, just post when you're ready to post. And that is what happened to me last night. I got all excited about this whole new reel idea I found at 10:30 or 11, and it took me an hour before I got it figured out and got it done. And what I ended up doing, instead of posting it, my second reel of the day, I set it up and left it on my phone. And when I got up this morning, I hit post. That's not what I typically do, but you do.
Can I just say,
I need to learn how to do that. Done.
can I just say that I have posted a handful of reels after midnight.
Yeah.
Within the last week and a half. They are the ones that have done the best, minus the one that had the trending audio and used a template and basically followed the formula that was supposed to be like totally foolproof, not even 100 views. Like what even? But these other ones that I posted at stupid o'clock that I'm like, well, I just want to see, right? And one of them, I thought it was a fluke because I posted it on like a Friday night or a Saturday night. But I've done them during the week where I've posted after midnight. And by the time I wake up, they're like, your reel has 500 views. Your reel has 1,000 views. I'm like, I don't get 1,000 views when I post in prime time. What is this? Right? So honestly, I believe, like, this is not going to sell any courses, guys, but I believe that when you have the moment to post, it will land in the feed of the person who's supposed to see it. And we just need to go, okay, it's fine, right? It's okay. I actually was going to just say, for me, I'm really good in the mornings. I don't like getting up in the mornings. I'd rather sleep. But my most effective, ridiculous, like brain machine mornings, when I have to be on an airplane at 5 a.m., I will get on that airplane and throw my headphones on, and I will crank out stuff like you wouldn't believe before I would even be moving. So anyway, and then of course I have this like desert of brain during the middle of the day. And then at night, I'm like Sherry. It's like, let's just go. So there is a coaching question that I'd love to draw your attention to. We'll just keep kind of skipping along. But on 107, what one disciplined act would lead you to one of your meaningful goals? What self-control would you have to exhibit in order to conquer the potential distractions to that goal? Kind of like what we were talking about. What needs to get, what blinders need to get put on so that you could do that?
I've known this for a while. Oh, I have an
Yes.
answer to that for me.
Yes.
So I know that I should, in my IPA, be reaching out to people first, rather than worrying about the posting, rather than scrolling and liking. But it seems that I somehow get sucked into most often doing my post, doing a little liking on social media, like just being that. And that I have to change that.
But it's more comfortable, Trisha.
It's like that gratification, right? Like I feel accomplished in getting a post out there. I feel accomplished like communicating with a few people, and then you send out this message that may or may not be answered, right? There's no gratification in that. And so I'm looking for that immediate happiness by doing those things first, when really I need to be messaging potentials in my IPA first. Prioritize that.
And I think what you said there is really valuable and kind of marches us through the process of this chapter, in that gratification is a huge piece to developing self-control. Because if we remember that our brain's whole purpose is to avoid pain and seek pleasure, why would we do the painful thing first? Why would we do the painful thing that isn't going to give us that dopamine hit or that gratification right off? And so as I was reading through this chapter, I don't know if any of you guys started thinking about this. I was like, okay, how can I build in gratification so it is worth it to my brain to do the hard things enough times so that if the gratification, because we know that it is just, honestly, it's the number of messages that you send out and who sees them, when they see them. Like, do you know what I mean? I could send out 27 messages today and I could not get an answer back for 2 days. So if I'm waiting on that gratification piece, if the answer is the gratification, that's not going to work for me. I need to somehow build in that once I have an X number of messages sent out and the hard thing, then I get like, where's my personal payoff that I'm going to build in, right? I mean, for some people, they might be able to be like, there is my sense of accomplishment. For this girl in the, like for Valerie, when she was talking about writing her how many words a day, she had a visual with the thermometer. Guys, remember, I'm all about sticker charts. Sticker charts are a thing. You put a sticker on the chart because you sent your 5 messages, or you could like, you can, okay, sorry, Sharon is amazing. Ginny, we're learning about self-control. Do you want to listen? No way. That's not fun. True words, but the payoff is worth it. Indeed, indeed it is. But so I'm thinking, how can I build in gratification? Like, I cannot do this until I have done this. Once this is done, maybe then I can go have my slim. Or once, right? Like, have you ever thought about withholding your pink drink? Like, I don't know if that's even like, I don't even know that should even be a thing. Like, I cannot go mix up my slim until I have, well, maybe I shouldn't be. Both of you took a drink at the same time. Like, no. She just suggested something that's blasphemous. We must drink. Shall we raise a glass?
I think, oh, Sherry, where are you gonna go?
Oh,
You're
go
gonna
ahead.
love this one, Sherry.
I was choking
Sherry's
on
gonna be
that.
Sherry's gonna be all over this one. Sherry, maybe this will be your motivation. Joke, joke. Delay my exercising before I message 5 new people.
Mary needs to hold a plank until the 5th one is done.
Because that's sometimes what I do prioritize as well, is my exercising, because I do know for my mental health, I need that. But I do also know that to advance my business, I need to reach out. So maybe I just flip that a little bit. In order to get my exercising, which I need to send out this many messages.
Is there a way
Be
to
as
flip
simple as
it
that.
to what's the joy or the fun in sending the message? The joy in the doing. Because as soon as we switch our satisfaction to a reply, we've given away all our power.
Indeed. Don't you think though that when we find something that we are allowing ourselves to do and we tie it with finishing the messaging, at a certain point you don't need the carrot at the end, because you actually like kind of blurred the line between getting the carrot at the end and doing the messaging.
I think this is like, you don't let your kids go to bed until they've brushed their teeth. I can see how that could go, Janice. I love your smile. I can see how that would have gone over.
Never gonna brush my teeth. I don't go ahead.
Sorry. I had a thought, and it's something that I've just recently been trying to do, because I love to challenge myself. And the whole messaging thing, still getting there. But I'm like, okay, here's 5 minutes. How many messages am I going to do? And then my next time, it's like, okay, so in 5 minutes, I did this many messages. Can I do one more? And then go through. And it's not like, okay, I can't do this until I do this, but it's more of a different way of challenging myself.
I like that. And so then the payoff is completing the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, the payoff is increasing skills
Yeah.
like that.
So she talks about, in this whole gratification thing, creating incremental goals. So like what Janelle was saying, I want to send this many messages in 5 minutes. And when I'm done it, hey, I just reached my goal, right? And so it's celebrating that achievement at the end, instead of being like, oh yeah, I sent those 5 messages, but 2 of them weren't terribly good. No, no. Linda's like, who got into my brain? But it's allowing yourself to experience the gratification, because guys, we all deserve to be happy. And I think that this is where this belief needs to come out, is that when you work hard for something, you deserve to be able to celebrate for it. Like that's okay. We can allow that for ourselves. I really appreciated her self-coaching piece here when we talked about that. When are you at your best? And then the other side is, when are you at your worst? And so what does work look like in those times, right? And so maybe Trisha's example of like, I'm not necessarily at my best at 9 o'clock, but I still did the work, right? And so that needs a realization as well. Okay, no, I'm not going to hold myself to the same level of excellence that I expect from work that I would do in my prime creative time, right? So Sherry, who is so great at doing graphics, she's going to pump out a graphic like this, and everything's going to fall into place when she's in her creative time. But if we ask her to do a graphic in her non-creative time, in the same time frame with the same amount of excellence, it's probably not going to be the same. And so having correct expectations for the right time frame is also a huge piece, right? You can still say, I did get the work done. And honestly, in my estimation, God judges our hearts, right? And will bless our intentions and our work in that way. When we're like, you know what, God, I have 15 minutes and this is not in my creative zone. And so I am just giving you all of what I'm doing, and I'm going to trust that you're going to multiply this in your way for your purpose and your plan. And this is what I have for you. This is what I have today, right? Guys, loaves and fishes. And here,
She says on page 111,
yeah,
do you take steps toward it every single day? So if it's 15 minutes of steps towards it, right, then that's what you do. You took steps towards your important goal every single day.
absolutely. Yeah. And she also says, I specifically asked God to write through me and use me as his vessel. And I love that. And I think that if that is our position, and we are doing that work every day, and we're moving towards that goal, and we're trusting him in this, so on 111 that Trisha was talking about, it says many successful women are quite talented, but not any more so than a whole lot of other less successful women, but they continually hone their skills. And when I read that, I was like, okay, so I could hone my skills in a way by learning, right? There's this course here and there's that course there, and I can do the things that, whatever. Even getting caught up in doing the real challenge, which I do love. Actually, there's a love-hate relationship with it, but I do love. Especially when you use the template and the whole like trending audio and it doesn't work. And that one we all had to bless and release, right? You're just like, okay, that just, whatever. That was fun. But part of honing our skills in Plexus is sending the messages, is doing the stuff first that makes us be like, ugh. If I had to avoid one part of my business today, what would it be? Well, that's what I'm going to do first. Right? And I started thinking about it and I thought, you know, if we know okay, I'll use myself as an example. You're welcome, guinea pig, right here. Hello, my name is guinea pig. If I said that developing leaders is exactly what I need to be doing in my business to grow to the next level, but I do not invite any current product users or look for new people specifically with the idea of inviting them into the business, and then choose the conversations to have with them about the business, whether it's 10 or 12 times before they say yes. It doesn't matter how many, hey, would you like to try my pink drink messages I send out? Because what needs to happen is the conversations around the business, is the, you know, encouragement, is the learning on the piece of how can you vision cast, learning how can, right? And so it's doing the activity in the right places of discomfort that will walk you through the discomfort so it's no longer as uncomfortable. But you kind of have to get over that.
You just hit the nail on the head for me.
Sorry. Because we can avoid the good work and still feel like we're accomplishing something. But is it accomplishing the things we want to accomplish, right? And I think where my brain went with this is, okay, so how many days, weeks, well, messages, days, weeks, months, would I need to spend in this specific area, focusing on this specific area of discomfort before it was no longer as uncomfortable? And the answer is every time you do it, it gets, even in a micro measure, less uncomfortable. And it's the cycle, right? It's the, John Maxwell talks about, Sherry, you got to give me the order of it. It's the try.
Yeah, it's like the plan, do,
Do.
review, replan,
Yeah.
redo, review,
And it's,
like, and it's a circle, but it's actually a spiral.
yeah,
So it's a circle at the base, and then as you keep redoing and reviewing and replanning, it spirals up.
but you need a certain amount.
Maxwell in March.
Oh, right. I forgot. Just FYI, Sherry's going to go to her Maxwell training in March. She's very excited. It's
I'm very excited. I will get to see Valerie Burton. I am very excited.
I can't wait. I hope you get a picture with her. Like, I mean, I'd be so excited for you to get a picture with John Maxwell. I had to almost sit on her to not like rush the stage at convention because she was
Yeah.
in the Jules. She's like, do you think if I ran up there right now for a picture, it would be bad? I'm like, yes, it would be bad.
Yes.
But there's a certain amount of, dare I say, failure that you need to do in order to review and keep on going. And like, we have to give ourselves the permission and the opportunity to fail.
I actually really love, and it's toward the end, but when she explains that when NASA chooses astronauts,
Yes.
they actually seek for people who've had significant failures. Like they want people who've been successful. Don't get me wrong there. But they don't want people who've never experienced significant failure.
Mm-hmm.
Because significant failure is that grit training. And that's the proofs in the pudding, so to speak, when they actually walk through the failure and come out the other side.
Mm-hmm. And it is so much of how we talk to ourselves in the failure. Because I think about bottom of page 112. She says, you'll know an inspired goal by whether you feel led by it rather than dragged by it. And sometimes when we have done something for a lengthy period of time, so being an entrepreneur for a long time is one of, I know that there are a lot of you, like Sherry and Linda are both rancher, like they have other business, they are multifaceted entrepreneurs. How about we say that? And I'm sure that sometimes the work that they do as entrepreneurs on their farms and ranches, they feel like they're dragged by the vision instead of inspired by it. But it doesn't mean you quit. You can reassess and ask yourself, is this still what we're doing? Right? And it's the same thing with your Plexus business. And sometimes when we feel dragged by the vision, it isn't the vision's fault. It's our response to either being inconsistent or irresponsible with our thought patterns. It doesn't mean that the vision should be any smaller or that your purpose is any less. The responsibility lies in how we have perceived what has gone on, and if we have allowed ourselves to grow, or if we've been too critical, or like any of those things. So I really loved her focus. Now, if you read nothing else in this chapter besides the end, do that. Starting on page 113, 9 ways to stick with your goals, I thought was so great. Because, okay, here's a question. How many of us made goals at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024? I realized I had done significant work on one of my goals yesterday. And I was so proud of myself. So I hope that you guys are able to do that too. But you know, one of my goals was, I'm going to stop shoulding on myself. Should is not going to be in my vocabulary in 2024. So yesterday, I spent a really nice chunk of my day organizing my basement and cleaning out my closet. And I planned that for yesterday. And never once in all of the time that I was doing those things did I should on myself. Did I think I should be doing this? I should go sit down and work my business. I should go. No, I did it with my daughter. We were present together. We enjoyed our time. And I felt so accomplished at the end of it and not a single ounce of guilt for not doing something else. That was a huge thing for me. I'd set that goal and I'd been doing the brain work. And I realized I didn't have to do the brain work yesterday to keep the shoulds out. So make sure you're celebrating when you realize that the goals that you're setting are starting to take root. But let's go back to this, pick one goal, because that's not my only goal that I'm picking for this year. Pick one goal, even though we have a long list of them, right? I'm going to exercise 3 times a week. Trisha's like, only 3? Sherry and I are like, what? We're fine. It's okay. It's going to be all right. Pick one goal rather than making a laundry list. What is your most important goal? And then laser focus. And I think the important part is the goal that you choose needs to be inspiring and meaningful. And might I insert, it needs to stretch you a little. If you want to grow. If you don't want to grow, then don't pick something that's going to stretch you. Totally fine. If you're great exactly where you are, go for it. So in reading through these, was there anything in particular, any one of these things that stood out to you the most? So the other ones are make a decision to pursue it, pinpoint your inspiration, find a motivated partner, reach out for support, create a vision board, expect a challenge and determine to keep pressing forward, plan for obstacles, reward and recharge after each milestone. Were any of those like moments for you?
After reading this, I actually created a vision board. I'd always thought vision board, whatever, yeah, whatever. So I created one. It's my screensaver on my laptop so that every time I open up my laptop, I see it. It's there. I also don't like clutter around in my office because it distracts me. So that's why I thought on my laptop, it's not creating extra clutter. And so that's what I did.
That's awesome. I love that. I was actually just thinking this morning, I need to put my vision board on my screen, so on my, like, my home thing. One of the ones that really stood out to me was pinpoint your inspiration. Now, she says, I'll just read this really quickly. People who succeed at reaching their goals use the power of inspiration to get there. When you're inspired, your motivation comes from within. You see the purpose behind your goal, and that purpose fuels perseverance and passion. So what that actually said to me was, who is it in Plexus? Like, I'll use Plexus as an example. Who is it in Plexus that inspires me to level up, to do things differently? Not like what 17 people. What is there one person that I'm really looking at, that I've seen, that I align with, that their work inspires me, that they're balanced, right? And am I looking at that? And now, fair, these people are fallible, they can fall away, but I can also find a new inspiration if they no longer suit the mold, right? I know that Chelsea Harder has shared that Emily Roberts is a huge inspiration for her, and she watches Emily all the time. And I'm so thankful that we are in the age that we're in for network marketing, because we get a window into other people's lives. I used to talk to my upline when I did a different company, and I used to say, kind of like what I said to Trisha this morning, could I just come and like stand behind you and see what you do in a day? Because that was before you could share what you did every day. And so for me, like, Trisha Rieger is so fascinating, and how she's choosing to share her life and how she's growing and all of those things. Like, I love that, right? Maybe Brittany Howard is that for you. Maybe Christina Williams with the macro counting and the blowing my mind, because I don't understand that. Maybe it's Sheila Cron. Who is it? And you can almost check that. Like, you can almost do a personal check-in with that person every day if you are picking someone who is consistent and doing those things. And then you need to realize that you're creating the path for other people to be inspired by you too.
In doing this Reels challenge, there are days where I don't have any inspiration. I'm like, what am I going to post? I need to post something. And so doing just that, looking at, well, what are other people posting about? What would inspire me in this moment about what they're doing? And so I've definitely modeled my Reels after other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also how you learn, right? You learn what's important. You learn even how to put a different kind of look in your reel together. So yeah, I think learning from others, finding that one person. I've been looking at a lot of people, so maybe I need to find my one person. But for inspiration, pinpoint inspiration was also something, and it's kind of connected with Janelle's creating your vision board, your why. But I think in reading that, what really hit me was, I do want to inspire business builders. And I think my inspiration there is that this opportunity financially changes lives. Like, that's going to be kind of my driver. Is it's not about changing my life. It's about, this can change the lives of others financially. And I think that's going to be kind of where I'm going to get my motivation.
I hear you on that, Trisha, and I really want to encourage you on that, is that if you are feeling that one piece, run with that piece for as long as it exists in your heart. Because I know that I've had a similar seed planted in me this week, and it's been the word options. This business gives options. And so I'm like, I need to hone in on the options piece, right? And so I think that, I do think that God gives each of us things, whether we're listening to them or not. And it is for the people who are following us. Yeah, Linda.
I have to admit, I quit doing reels because I thought my reels looked like a kindergarten had done them. I just, I thought, no, and I shouldn't. I thought I need to learn. I need to get better at this, Somebody said go to Google or YouTube and learn how to add things to them, learn how to do better. But I haven't tried that yet.
Linda, I just want to encourage Linda, because that's something I'm not good at, is just showing my face and getting on and talking. And I thought, man, you're brave. So be brave. Continue to be brave.
Absolutely.
I second that, Trisha.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, we are at the end. So that wasn't that painful. We talked about self-control and discipline, and we all lived through it. And we're good. I would really encourage you to spend some time on the personal coaching toolkit at the end. Remember that we can squeeze so much goodness out of these chapters. And so to get sort of like the bonus features, so the dessert after the meal is the personal coaching toolkit, and spend time writing those answers out, and really delving into your brain. And again, the reason that I love Valerie Burton so much is that she's not just talking at you, she's developing the coach within you so that you can help your own thought process, and you can be the one to ask yourself these questions. This becomes that inner dialogue for you. So we will see you back here next week. Next week is also Plexus Book Club at the same time. Not at the same time, right after us on the same day. There, that's what I meant to say. So Cultivate Positive Emotion is habit 5 for us next week. And then we get to transition over to Plexus Book Club as well. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for your conversation. I look forward to a little bit more dialogue. I'd encourage you to throw a little bit more in the chat, because I think that would be a huge value add to those people who maybe weren't able to be with us this morning. So to just throw your takeaways from today into our Successful Women Think Differently chat, I think would be really, really valuable. So thank you all. Have a great day today. Bye.